All right, I've actually been crunching the numbers as I do in my free time. Now, under Pep, they've spent 820 million in total, pounds. Now, if I break it down for you, I found this a bit surprising. 63 million was spent on keepers, 285 million on midfielders, 49 million on forwards, and the remaining 423 million pounds was just on defenders. Why does Pep seem to struggle in this area? I think back to his first season when he claimed he doesn't coach defending. And it still comes back to me at times when we're discussing Manchester City. What's your take on this, Michael? What's holding him back in that department?
I think the way he plays is that he knows he wants to feel comfortable that he can have a team attacking, that if the team breaks, in the core and the heart of his team, he's got two central defenders that will shore up his defence and stop any attacks. Obviously, attacking fullbacks, people put higher prices on, and you need them. In this day and age, your attacking fullback price goes up. But I think the way he plays, he needs to be reassured that when a team comes at him, his team can handle it. He's got defenders and players that can deal with anything coming forward. So that's why he spends so much. And nowadays, if I'm honest, and Gary might agree, is that a solid out-and-out defender, you find one of them, people bump the price up. So when you do get a good defender, the reason he spends so much is because people are bumping the price up of defenders for so much because they're a rarity. They're a gem. So that's mostly why the prices go up when he's defenders.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, Michael, on that point. It is market forces a lot of the time. And also when Man City are in for a player, invariably the selling team suddenly increases the price because they know the wealth of Man City as well. But I was looking at it. I think since Pep Guardiola's been there, he's signed 10 outfield defensive players, and 5 of them he's paid 50 million or more for. It's vast sums of money. Is a 50 million pound defender better than Zinchenko, who he signed for, I think it was probably around about just under 2.5 million pounds. Diaz, who he's just spent 65 million for, is he really going to turn in a performance that's 30 times better than Zinchenko if Zinchenko plays? Well, the answer is no. It's market forces. And again, these figures for defenders can be, as per anywhere on the park, manipulated to basically mean not very much. If you want that particular player, that's what you end up having to pay for him, or you say no. And in actual fact, I believe Man City have said no. I think they went no on Maguire, didn't they, for example, from Leicester City, and he ended up going to Manchester United. So it's a tough business, but recruitment is absolutely key.
It's funny because we talk about the amount of money they've spent, but they don't hold the transfer records for the most expensive centre-backs in world football. Liverpool had Van Dijk for 75 million. City have never spent that much on a defender, obviously. But imagine if they did. Imagine if they said, Michael, that, you know what, we will go all in on this one player, on Van Dijk. Can you imagine if they actually got him instead of Liverpool?
Well, I think it would just be an onslaught, wouldn't it, in the way they do. And I think that's why maybe everyone's trying to get that gem. Because remember, Van Dijk, no one thought Van Dijk would turn out the player he turned out. He wasn't like that sort of player before. That was purely on his Liverpool coming in and purely on potential and the club not wanting to let him go. So I think everyone's hoping for that sort of return on their investment, and it doesn't always happen, hence why City have spent so much, and they've got a massive checkbook and they can afford to do that.
Don't you find it strange, Gary, that they haven't gone all in on one player, though? All the money they've spent individually is less than what United have done and Liverpool on a centre-back.
Well, ultimately, it comes down to the head coach and the recruitment team at a club deciding whether a particular player is going to be the real deal or not. And possibly, Manchester City said, well, yes, Van Dijk is an excellent player, but is he really worth that 75 million? Now, Liverpool said, yes, he was, and Liverpool have been proven right, it's fair to say, because he's been exceptional. Van Dijk has also gone into an exceptional Liverpool group of players that have grown and grown and grown over the last 2 or 3 years. I'm not saying that he wouldn't be as good a player at Man City as he is at Liverpool, but maybe he wouldn't have quite gelled with his fellow teammates as well. Maybe, the understanding that Van Dijk has with Robertson, who mainly plays left back at Liverpool, wouldn't be as good if he was playing alongside Mendy for Man City, who we saw tonight, for example. Mendy's a different player to Robertson. So there's all these little factors that can contribute to how a player performs.
Do you think that he would have been successful at Man City if he was there, Michael?
Yeah, well, look, just on the point that Gary just said, when there was a time when Liverpool was going in for Van Dijk, Vincent Kompany was at Man City. So all of a sudden now, as a manager, you're thinking 2 dominating players, they might not gel, and they was looking for something else. So the variables and the timing of things just sometimes didn't match. Would he be a success at Man City? Maybe he's grown under Klopp. Again, the management, like the environment, like Gary said, the environment that he's nurtured under, it's Klopp. Maybe in that environment, he got better at. He's a good player. Maybe he would have done, but I think at the time, Kompany was there, and maybe the 2 being very alphas in that back wouldn't have worked, and the gel wouldn't have worked. So there's all types, but he's a good player. I think he would have done well in most teams, but under Klopp, he's flourished and excelled. So he's put something down to that.